Have you ever stopped to think about what really goes through your cat's mind in the exact moment you yell at it? If you've ever lost your patience because it scratched the couch, knocked over a vase, or made a mess around the house, there's a good chance that, without realizing it, you taught it exactly the opposite of what you intended. And the worst part, this could be happening right now, every day, without you having the slightest idea of the damage it's causing to the trust between you two. Cats don't work like dogs. They don't associate a yell, a scolding, or a scare with the behavior you want to correct. In the feline mind, there's no concept of, I'm being reprimanded for something wrong I did. What actually exists is something much simpler and much more dangerous: fear. A fear that over time can turn into deep distrust toward the very person it should trust with its eyes closed. Have you been through this? That moment when you yell, the cat runs off and then stays hidden under the bed for hours, avoiding any contact. That's exactly the behavior that many people confuse with being difficult or stubbornness, when in reality it's pure survival instinct. A cat's behavior is governed by signals, by body language, by patterns it recognizes through repetition. When a yell occurs without a direct and immediate connection to what it did, the cat's brain simply doesn't connect the information the way a human expects. What it understands, most of the time, is that that environment, or worse, that person, has become a source of unpredictable danger. And this is where the real problem lies. An isolated incident might not cause lasting damage. But when yelling becomes a habit, an automatic response every time the cat misbehaves, its trust begins to crumble silently and gradually. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now might surprise you, and maybe even make you a little uncomfortable. Many owners report strange changes in their cat's behavior. Animals that used to be affectionate, that sought out laps and attention, gradually became distant, skittish, always on alert. They start avoiding eye contact, hiding more often, hesitating before approaching. And the saddest part is that, most of the time, the owner has no idea that their own behavior is the direct cause of this transformation. And that's exactly why this video exists. By the end of it, you'll understand, with total clarity, 3 essential things. First, what really goes through your cat's mind the instant you yell at it or scold it, and why that reaction is so far from what you imagine. Second, how to identify, in practice, whether your cat's trust has already been shaken, even if the signs seem small or you haven't noticed any clear change yet. And third, the most important part, how to rebuild that relationship, restoring security and the bond between you before that distance becomes permanent and hard to reverse. If you want a cat that's more secure, closer to you, and genuinely trusting by your side, what comes next is going to completely change the way you handle moments of mess, scratches, and unwanted behavior. Because understanding this dynamic can be exactly the turning point between a healthy bond and a relationship marked by constant fear. Before continuing, I need to ask you a quick question, because I think it says a lot about why you're still watching this video. How many times have you felt guilty after yelling at your cat and seeing that look of fear or confusion? If any part of what I've said so far hit you differently, if you recognized yourself in any situation, or if you've experienced something similar with your cat, leave a comment about what struck you most so far. Seriously, I want to hear your story, because every comment that comes in shows me that this content is really helping someone on the other side of the screen, and that's the fuel to keep bringing this kind of topic in depth and without dragging things out. And look, I know sometimes it seems like just a small detail, but if this video has already made sense to you so far, now is the right time to hit like. It's not about the number, it's about recognition. When you like it, you're literally telling the algorithm, this content matters, show it to more people. And that's exactly how this information reaches other owners who, just like you, might be making the same mistake without realizing it. Every like is a quiet way of helping another cat have a healthier relationship with its owner. And if you're the type who likes to keep up with everything as soon as it comes out, without missing any updates, take a look below the video. There's a bell, the hype button. By turning it on, you make sure you'll be notified as soon as new content comes out here. And believe me, there's a lot of good stuff coming, especially about feline behavior, a topic that most owners only discover too late, when the problem has already set in. Turning on that notification is basically reserving your spot in the front row. And speaking of not missing anything, if you've made it this far in the video and felt that this kind of content makes a difference in your relationship with your cat, that's the sign that you need to be subscribed to the channel. It's not just a number that helps the channel grow, although it does help a lot. It's about you making sure you'll keep receiving quality information that really changes the way you care for and understand your cat. Your participation here with subscribing, liking, commenting is exactly what makes this space keep existing and reaching more people who, just like you, want to understand rather than just react. It's a community forming around a simple purpose, making sure every cat has a more conscious owner on the other side. That said, hold on to that feeling, because now we're going straight to the point you most need to understand. What really happens in your cat's mind when fear takes hold? What really happens in a cat's mind when you raise your voice? Now pay attention to this, because this is where everything starts to make sense. What happens in your cat's mind the moment you raise your voice has nothing to do with learning. There is no concept in the feline brain of educational punishment. What exists is a much older, much more primitive mechanism, the famous survival mode. The instant the yelling happens, the cat's brain doesn't process, "I did something wrong." It processes, "There is a threat, and it's big." This is the exact moment when the release of stress hormones kicks in, mainly cortisol and adrenaline, flooding the animal's body in fractions of a second. That's why it runs, hides, cowers, or even hisses, not because it understood the message, but because its body went into maximum alert, as if its very life were at risk. And here's the revelation that changes everything. At that moment, the danger in the cat's mind isn't the scratched couch or the broken vase. The danger becomes you, the person it should trust with its eyes closed. This gradually reorganizes the entire emotional structure of that relationship. And let's bust a myth right now. That skittish behavior after the scolding isn't sulking, it's protection. It's pure instinct trying to ensure its own safety. The silent signs that your cat has stopped feeling completely safe around you now. Pay attention to this, because this is where things get even more serious. A cat losing trust almost never happens in an obvious, glaring, easy-to-notice way. It happens gradually, silently, almost like an invisible transformation in everyday life, until one day you notice something has changed, but you don't know exactly when it started. Notice these details. Has your cat stopped approaching you with the same ease as before? Does it watch you from a distance, as if analyzing your every move before deciding whether to come closer or not? Has it chosen to sleep in different rooms, far from where you usually stay? Does it run off when it notices you walking around the house, even without any apparent reason? Has it become more startled by sounds, gestures, or sudden movements, even the simplest ones? Here's the hidden truth that few owners see. Many people interpret this distancing as independence, as if it were simply the cat's personality to be more reserved. But most of the time, this distance is pure insecurity, a direct reflection of experiences that taught the animal to keep its distance as a form of protection. And the strangest part is that there are behaviors owners label as stubbornness, when in reality, they're a direct consequence of fear, hidden behind attitudes that look like sulking, but carry a much deeper origin. Comment below, I didn't know if any of these signs reminded you of your cat right now. The mistakes that make trust disappear even faster. Now pay attention to this, because this is where a lot of people discover, without meaning to, that they were digging their own hole. There are everyday attitudes that speed up this loss of trust much faster than you'd imagine. And the worst part is that most of the time, they come from good intentions, thinking they're correcting the cat, when in reality they're destroying the relationship. The first mistake is yelling repeatedly at behaviors that are completely natural to the species, like scratching, jumping onto high surfaces, or exploring objects. The second is chasing the cat after it runs away, turning fear into an actual pursuit, which only reinforces the sense of danger. The third is pointing fingers, banging objects, or making sudden movements near it, gestures the feline brain interprets as direct threats, not communication. But there's an even more silent mistake, punishing hours after the fact, when the cat doesn't even remember the reason anymore. In that moment, it doesn't associate the punishment with anything it did. It only associates it with the fact that, out of nowhere, you became a danger. And here's the hidden truth behind all of this. Punishment based on fear never teaches the right behavior. It only teaches the animal to fear whoever punishes it. Each of these negative experiences builds up, creating an increasingly strong and increasingly hard to undo emotional association between the cat and you. How to get your cat to trust you again. Now pay attention to this, because this is where the real journey of rebuilding begins. Trust doesn't come back simply because you stopped yelling. That's only the first step, not enough on its own. What really changes this story is a complete shift in mindset, in how you relate to your cat day to day. The first step is a calm voice. A soft, consistent tone of voice gradually begins to replace the association with danger with a feeling of safety. Along with that comes a predictable routine. Organized times for feeding, playing, and moments of attention help the cat's brain understand that environment and that person no longer bring unexpected scares. Playtime plays a huge role in this process because it creates genuine positive experiences directly associated with you. Treats, offered at the right moments, further reinforce this new emotional perception. And there's a point that few owners respect: the animal's space. Letting it approach on its own time, without forcing contact, is one of the most powerful gestures of all. Small daily actions, repeated with patience, create a much bigger impact than any one exaggerated display of affection. Because the truth behind this transformation is simple: consistency is worth far more than intensity. The secret that the most trusting cats have in common. Now pay attention to this, because this is where everything connects. If you look at the most affectionate, most calm cats, the ones that lie in your lap without hesitation, you'll notice something they all have in common. They don't live without limits. They live without fear. That's the big decision that separates an average owner from someone who truly understands the feline mindset. Trust is born exactly when the cat knows clearly what to expect from you. It understands your patterns, recognizes your tone of voice, anticipates your routine, and it's exactly that predictability that generates emotional security. A trusting cat isn't one that obeys commands. It's one that feels protected in that environment and next to that person. Here's the hidden truth behind this whole journey we've walked through. The ideal relationship between owner and cat was never about obedience. It was always about safety, about creating a space where it doesn't need to protect itself from you, because it knows, behind the scenes of your every gesture, that it can trust you. And maybe this is the most important reflection of all. Your cat doesn't need someone who yells louder when it makes a mistake. It needs someone it can trust every day, even in moments of mess. If you've made it this far, that already says a lot about how much you truly care about your cat, and I couldn't close this conversation without inviting you to be part of this in a closer way. If you want to keep discovering signs, behaviors, and messages that most people ignore every day, subscribe to the channel. This kind of content keeps coming out here, always with this same depth, made for those who really want to understand what goes on in their own cat's head. And since you made it to the end, leave a comment here. I love my cat. Tell me, because each behavior we talked about today can mean something different depending on each cat's history, and I love reading what you all bring here. If you haven't liked this video yet, do it now, because every like helps more people avoid these silent mistakes we talked about here, and that creates a real impact on the lives of cats who depend entirely on their owners to feel safe. And look, there's a video right here, next to this one, that complements exactly this topic. Click it and stay with me over there, because the conversation about trust, fear, and the bond with your cat doesn't stop here.